when will the interest rates go down? When are we going to get some relief? So Federal Chairman Powell, who runs the Federal Reserve, completely came out and said that, hey, we still expect 3 decreases by the end of the year. Well, there's about 6 open market meetings left. So the window is narrowing, and we've also got we also got the elections to think about. So it's very, very interesting. I've got my notes here because I've been, ever since the Fed, meeting yesterday, I've been seeing, news and what's going on. And so how is this going to relate to mortgage? What is this going to mean to you, buyers and sellers that have just been waiting for some relief in these rates? There's this affordability gap that's very, very real, and we need to get some relief on these rates. So a couple of great things. So one person that I actually watch, he's actually on YouTube as well. He's got a ClearValueTax is his channel. I just love to watch him. I don't even know his name, but he goes by ClearValueTax. And this is where I get a lot of information from him. So make sure to hop over him at some point. So the Fed spoke, yesterday. They said, hey, we're going to have 3 more drops. What I don't understand is all the economic indicators that are out right now, like labor is strong, the economy is strong, the GDP numbers and all these numbers are pointing in a positive direction, which, yes, it's a good thing. But for mortgage rates, generally, you lower the rate, or the federal funds rate is used to lower because it's used to spur the economy. Well, the economy really doesn't need spurring. So it's interesting because I think there's a lot of psychological and political things at play here. Of course, we all know that in November, every single politician wants people to feel good about the economy. So that's what's really surprising. It's like, when are they going to do it? So they've got that to think about. If they're gonna reduce rates in order to make it in time for the people to start to feel good about things, well, then they need to start lowering in like June or July. So it's pretty much a super low chance that they're going to start lowering the rates in May. Like, I think that the consensus is that it's like a 1% chance. So June or July, they didn't come out and say it. They need to see what some of the economic indicators say. But if they go much past July, they're not going to make it in time for these warm and fuzzies for political reasons. Now, the reason that the Fed is holding off from raising rates is because they're afraid. They're afraid that inflation is going to spike. I actually think that will happen. I think that, so I can only speak of housing because that's where my allegiance is and my professional life lies. Is, I've done this about 28 years, and I've seen what has happened when there's so much demand. There's so many buyers that are waiting for this affordability gap, for these rates to ease up. They're just like in the woodwork, like little army ants waiting to spread their wings. Okay. And as soon as we see a little bit of a relief in rates, I can tell you what's going to happen, y'all, is that the prices, we're going to have over demand, which means more buyers trying to get the same house. And you know what happens then? What happens is the sellers, just like a repeat of 2021, the sellers are going to say, hey, you want my house? Who's willing to pay the most for it? And that's where you get inflation in housing. We saw it in 2021. That was, if you can call it a gift of COVID, for all of you homeowners out there, that was the gift of COVID, is increase in appreciation that you never would have had it not been for COVID. So that's what the Fed is really worried about. They're worried in things like housing, food prices, all these other things. They're afraid that when the rates really do come down, that's going to happen. So they're in a real tough spot. I'm sure they have pressures. I'm positive that they have pressures from politicians. Like, hey, when are you gonna lower rates? Come on, people. Like, we need some help over here. That's what the politicians are probably pressuring the Fed. But the Fed's like, hey, like, we're here to look out for the people. You know, the Federal Reserve is actually a private company. Like, they're not part of the government, but they influence the government. So they're like a public entity, right? They're like a company. And so they are so highly regarded, and they drive what is going on. So I'd love to hear your questions about what you're anything that I can goes and what's going to happen. You know, when the news came out yesterday, right when it came out, things were kind of flat. Like, we'd already priced in the fact, like the week before, mortgage rates had already pretty much priced in the fact that they knew that the Fed was not going to lower rates. But what they didn't know is, are they going to come out and say, hey, we're only going to do twice now? So we were actually a little bit surprised pleasantly that the Fed said, yeah, we're still anticipating to do 3. So, you know, lenders and the stock market, we're all just kind of sitting here like holding our breath and really just waiting to see what is going to happen. So when are rates going to come down? I think it's going to be the summer. I think it's going to be the summer. How far down are they going to go? Some people speculate, you know, as far as mortgage rates, that's what I'm talking about. As soon as the Fed starts to have this aggressive policy, and we don't even know how low they're going to lower it. Are they going to do a quarter at a time? I mean, I've seen in my 28 years in lending, I've seen the Fed drop it 0.5%. I don't think they do any more than that, but you just never know. That's the anxiety that lenders have, is we just don't know. And then the flood that is going to happen after that. We've got so many buyers waiting, y'all. It's just unbelievable that are waiting to buy because they cannot afford the houses that they need in the areas they need for their families to live. So that's going to be alive for another day. We're going to really talk about affordability, because I know I get so many comments on a lot of my videos about affordability. And one time I made the mistake of using an example of a $300,000 house. So I live in Texas, and you can actually still find a house for $300,000. And my negative comments went wild. I was like, gosh, y'all, come on, give me a break. I'm just talking about what's in my market. But people were like, where can you find a house for that? Get your head out of the sand. I was really, my feelings were really hurt. Okay. So keep the comments clean. But whatever market you're in, we can talk in general terms. Most areas around the US are feeling it. I mean, the prices are going up still because there's no inventory. Sellers are waiting and hoarding their houses because they're like, well, where are we going to go? Like if we sell, where are we going to go? So we're in quite a vortex. You can call it a vortex. You know, there's a storm. We're either in a storm, leaving a storm, or headed for a storm. I think right now we're in a little bit of all of those. I think that when the rates do come down, we're going to be in a little bit of a storm. It's going to be a race to who can get the house the fastest. I think some sellers, more inventory is going to come on the market, and buyers are going to be like, yes, we got to gobble that up. So it's going to be very interesting. Please stay tuned to the channel, because I will always bring you, live news, fresh news, so that you know what is going on in the markets. So let me hear your questions. Please subscribe so you get updates. Real facts, no BS is that's my jam. Okay. So I like to bring you real information. There's so much information out there, y'all, on the internet. It's like, what do I trust? So I'm hoping that I can be a trustworthy source for you. Lender for lots of years. I've helped thousands of people, and this truly is my passion. So stick around, and I'll talk to you soon.